Peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the ability to handle conflict by peaceful means, said President Ronald Reagan. This is absolutely true. The human race was smothered in conflict since the beginning of our existence, but our problems really erupted when these conflicts were attempted to be halted with aggression and ignorance. However, many of the technological and moral advancements that we've achieved were a result of conflict, thanks to the rare occasion of the human race trying to solve problems with reason and understanding instead of biased opinions. Unfortunately, these occasions are extremely rare. When I lived in Korea, I experienced a cold and bitter conflict between two states of the same nation, hating each other just because of differences in their political views. Both of these states couldn't, and still can't, get themselves to give their ignorant selfishness up and try to make compromises that support both states equally. When I lived in Dubai, an international city with international people, resulting in lots of different religions, I experienced the conflict between multiple religions, doubting and disrespecting each other because of the tiniest differences in their beliefs. Again, both religions could not, and still can't, get themselves to start trying to understand why the other would think that way, instead of calling them liars. However, I believe we can change this. I believe that the ability to think in different perspectives, the ability to admit our mistakes, and the ability to take actions to tackle conflicts that might not affect us yet, will bring a substantial amount of change to how our wheel of society is rolling. Earth is a vast place. Although it may seem small with the new advancements in the technology of communication, most people lived and died where they were born without learning much about their cultures, apart from themselves for thousands of years. This isolation resulted in the development of multiple individual cultures, each of them with their own sets of rules and beliefs. However, the world is now a different case. In just a few hundred years, amazing technological advancements has brought us closer. Unfortunately, its effects are not entirely beneficial. People who are used to their own sets of rules, religion, clothing, and the way of life are suddenly faced with the other cultures that are completely different from them, except for one thing. They think they are right, and everything that are different from them is wrong. Our world is filled with so much unnecessary conflict because of the lack of understanding. People fight because they only think about the conflict in their own perspectives. Religions fight and argue each other, believing that the other is wrong for being different. Nations fight because each one of them thinks only about their individual benefits rather than looking at how their peace could positively affect millions of people around them. This is the problem with the human race. We are so overwhelmed with our side of the story that our brains have a hard time comprehending how the other person is thinking. However, this obviously needs to change. During an argument, I control my frustration as much as I can and try to be calm. By doing so, I have a clearer and less biased mind to try to think in both perspectives. After doing so, it helps me understand why this person would have thought this way and how my opinions disagreed with his or hers. With this new understanding, I generate a new opinion that supports both our claims to a certain extent. Not only do I use this method for myself, but I encourage other people around me to do so too. By carrying out a conflict in this fashion, instead of disagreeing and putting down everything the opponent is saying, one has a better chance of taking care of a conflict without getting your feelings hurt, or vice versa, hurting the other person's feelings. If more people in the world can get used to carrying out conflicts in this way, I guarantee that the amount of hurt feelings and bitter impressions in this world will be decreased considerably, resulting in less violence and tragedy caused by conflict. Although differences of points of views start many unnecessary conflicts, there are many other factors that create bitter conflict. Another one of these factors is our habit of not being able to admit our own mistakes. This is because of one simple fact. Everyone, along with every other living species present on the face of Earth, is competitive. Some people are less competitive than others, while others are overly enthusiastic when it comes to being better than someone else. However, every organism has the instinct of survival in their bloods. We see male lions in the wild battling each other for the leadership of the pride. We see birds of different species attacking each other for the dominance of the area where their nest is located. We hear insects making loud noises all day to create better mates. This is the same case with humans. To survive, we had to, and still have to, be better than everyone else we are in conflict with. This instinct of survival dominates our thoughts and actions, especially during a conflict. When our opinions are in conflict, we have the habit of being incoherent in deciding whose opinion makes more sense. Furthermore, we have the habit of being unable to admit the opinion we are supporting is wrong. Unfortunately, these measly habits are responsible for countless numbers of unnecessary conflicts, cause, pain, and chaos. I've experienced the outcome of this habit all too well during the Tunisian Revolution in 2011. Ben Ali, who was the president of Tunisia at that time, could not admit the fact that his citizens were fed up with him and that his politics were not successful. However, he kept on holding back and eventually tried pushing his citizens down by force. Of course, violence is never the answer to an angry crowd. The Tunisian men and women fought back even harder, eventually pushing Ben Ali out of his office. Unfortunately, this victory came with a price. While my brief but memorable experience of the revolution, I spotted countless damaged buildings here and there after the police's physical crackdown on the protesters. I heard sounds of gunfire and anti-riot firearms, and I smelt the odor of tear gas and the burning tires everywhere I went. Furthermore, the news of 338 deaths during the revolution covered news channels and papers, along with more than 2,000 serious injuries. Everything that happened during the revolution scared me and motivated me to think about how these happenings could have been avoided. To a boy who has no professional knowledge in politics like me, this matter was utterly simple. The violence itself was caused because of the stubbornness and the ignorance of Ben Ali, who chose to attempt protecting his personal opinions, even if it meant hurting his own people. This measly habit of us not being able to admit mistakes resulted in the deaths of more than 300 people and brought chaos and loss to thousands more. However, I believe we can change this. If we train ourselves to resist this awful habit of being unable to admit mistakes, conflicts, and other kinds of differences in opinions will be solved more quickly and simply, reducing the chance of violence erupting in between. When we turn on the news, we can easily hear about troubles that are occurring all around Earth. There are wars, natural disasters, and economic crises erupting everywhere that makes Earth a less delightful place to live. However, how often do we step up and act? Instead of ticking our tongues and waiting for the sports scores, how often do we actually take action for things that don't affect us yet? This is a problem that is hindering the advancements of the human world. We expect everyone around us to help us when we are in a tight situation, while we fail to feel delinquent when it comes to problems that do not affect us directly. And for us to success, we have got to fix this attitude. This is why I try my best to act on problems that might not affect me currently. One of these problems is global warming. It appears on the news and is spoken of inside science classrooms. However, it is rare for one to actually notice what change it is bringing to us. However, I still take action against it. I divide all my recyclable garbage into groups and dispose them separately so that less carbon footprints would be made in the process of burning the trash. Since recyclable waste is either melted down or shredded, so it produces minuscule amounts of greenhouse gases. Apart from recycling, I also contribute my wealth and hard work for the benefit of others. I donated antibiotics and bandages for the civilians that were pulled into the violence of the Libyan civil war while taking part in teaching and aiding the disabled in Dubai. I also participated in the Run for Cancer, which was an annual 5-kilometer run arranged by the American Embassy in Tunisia to raise money for the cancer research. Furthermore, I contributed my skill of speaking 2 languages, Korean and English, to take part as a translator in a program where Korean professors taught young local men and women about goal-taking and reaching for that goal. Currently, I'm in the process of gathering decent clothes and coats to donate to the civilian refugees who are shivering from the horrendous weather. By sacrificing my time, knowledge, and strength that can be used for my benefit of me to others in need, I can use my capabilities to affect many people positively and spread my goodwill to more people around the world. However, I should not be the only one doing so. I encourage people around me to do the same, so that the goodwill of more people can spread to those in need and rescue people from conflict that can be solved with a bit more attention. Conflict is what formed the basis of our society. We change, improve, and advance after going through some kind of conflict. Therefore, conflict should not be condemned. However, the ability to solve conflict by thinking in different perspectives, admitting our mistakes, and taking actions to tackle conflicts that might not affect us yet will certainly help and solve conflicts in a peaceful and productive way and make our world a brighter place to live.